Good morning, traders. Good morning. Welcome back to another live stream. If you are new, my name is Zach. This is Real Deal Futures. Welcome on this beautiful Thursday. Thursday already? Thursday, October 2nd. Appreciate you guys hopping on. Before we hop on these charts, see if we can't make some damn money. Been taking some L's. A little bit of a losing streak here on the live sessions, which is frustrating, but we'll see what we could do. We're coming in with some positivity today. Make sure you read this on the screen. Trading's risky. Most traders do lose money. I am certainly not a financial advisor. I do not provide financial advice. I'm just an idiot here yapping on YouTube, Kick, X, wherever we're streaming for entertainment purposes only. Make sure you do your own research, make your own decisions. Read CFTC Rule 4.41 on simulated trading, which is what this is, even in funded prop firm accounts. And the affiliate and partnership disclaimer that says I stand to make money from links and codes in my content, like Top 1 Futures, code RDF, Bookmap, and others. Can't be unbiased if I stand to make money. Important for me to be transparent about that, for you guys to know what's up and to do your own research and make your own trading decisions. Let's see, man. Let's see what we got here today. Bullish so far, chat. What's going on, chat? Daily Tale, Wolf, what's going on? JB, Mike, Mars, I can't pronounce your guys' names. The person in number 2 doing a wheelie on the dirt bike. Andrew Baggs, Wolf, Matthew, what's going on? Good morning. Good to be back with you guys. Took an L yesterday. It's been a red week so far here on the live sessions. Frustrating because, as you guys know, I trade multiple accounts, right? Trade multiple different prop firm accounts. I do stuff on and off stream. I trade live accounts. And I, of course, want my live trading sessions to be where I'm taking W's. And it's really been the opposite this week. It's been nothing but W's off the stream. Outside of yesterday, I did take another L off stream on ES. And it's been nothing but L's on stream, man. Part of the game, right? Trading ES off the open here, it's been difficult to work with. For me personally, I've had a couple people comment, right? I was talking in Discord quite a bit, reading some feedback. And that performance in the straight to sim funded Pro 7-pack, I did the postmortem if you want to check those out. Check that out. I always love to be transparent about that stuff. Was less than impressive. Left a lot to be desired, for sure. But my performance off the open on ES, I think it comes down to a combination of two things, right? I'm discretionary, and the more discretionary you are, the more you and your inputs and your read of the market and your application of that discretion and intuition is going to influence your results, your performance. I think I've underperformed here on ES off the open. I think I've overperformed on YM and some of the swing trading stuff that I've done. But along with that, I just think the really aggressive mean reversion style trades, that is not exclusively what I do, but a big part of what I have done here over the years now on ES, just haven't been working well. Have not been working well. And it's a result of this. It's a result of, of this, right? So I think I've been too slow to adapt, where in the past, and I think most traders find themselves too fast to adapt, quick to change, quick to add things, quick to, make massive changes. I've probably been a little bit too slow to adapt to a really aggressive bullish market, and just not executed exceptionally well. Yesterday, while there was a valid trade set up there, for me personally, this just was not a good read of the market. This was just not a good read, trying to short on this bad boy. From down here, acceptable from down here, right? We're still early, pushing down for overnight session, although we did sweep the low and we got a bullish high time frame trend overall. I'm going to give myself acceptable here. I'm going to happily take that L. Doubling back up here, off stream, which I called out and shared. That was a poor play. But part of it, man. Right? I'm happy to show you what real trading looks like. I never claimed to be the best. I never claimed to have it all figured out, to be some amazing trader. I'm happy to show you what real trading looks like for me. The good, the bad, everything in between. To talk about what goes on off stream as well, for whatever that's worth. I'm in a good spot. I'm in a good spot in one of these bad boys, the 150K instant fundeds that have been trading. I've got 3 of them. One in a terrible spot, one in a really good spot. The one that I'm trading right now, I think, has $4,800 of profit in it. We're going to see if we can't keep building this one, but I'm hoping to get considered for a live from one of these bad boys. And I've got one now that's payout eligible, that's got a buffer in it, right? You know, it's past just the 9,000 that you need to take a payout. So that's my play. Hope to get kicked to a live account. But anyway, that's enough recap. Yesterday's the history. It's the past. Put it behind you, right? Review, do your journal, and then continue on. So looking at this market overall, talking about current market conditions, not just my trading. Bullish, man. I don't know how else to describe this. What did we do yesterday? We pushed all the way through last week's high, all the way down here at 67.56 and 3/4. What did we do? We turned to the downside by not even 15 points, and then immediately all Asia and London session all the way into pre-market 9:29 here. I'm a little bit early this morning. Hopped on early with you guys. Super bullish. We're pushing highs. You know, we're just continuing higher. This market is just relentless to the upside, just showing a lot of strength. So I'm gonna wait to see what we get here. Is a pullback? Can a pullback happen? Can we sell off and go all the way down below, you know, daily lows? Sure, we could do whatever we want to do. But here we go with the open. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. I've said this before. I'm gonna try to take into account this higher time frame trend. I am very, you know, flexible on intraday trading, especially here on ES. But I'm going to do my best to read this price action and market structure, keeping things stupidly simple. I felt like if I did that yesterday, you know, in here would have been an easy indication to get long, right? You know, it's difficult to do, really difficult to do, to find a way to structure risk on something like this. But a short play down here as we're aggressively selling off, we get past news, we come down. Sure, like I said, I'll defend myself on that one. No problem. I'm happy to take an L with a stop loss above here. Did I need a wider stop, as wide of a stop loss as I had? And did I fail to switch biases and flip and be able to capture, you know, some small part of a 30-point move to the upside? Yep, absolutely. So I mean, on this, man, you know, I don't know if you keep shorting for a larger move the way that I have, you know, it's tough off of days like this. So I'm waiting to see. We're pulling back towards VWAP. We got close there. Didn't quite tap it here in ES. Let me make sure my VWAP is in the right spot. It is 67.72 and a quarter. I've got VWAP. Looking at the 5-minute chart here. A little bit more zoomed out than just the 1 minute, and trying not to do the 2 chart thing because I find it just causes problems for me. But quick turn back to VWAP and then an immediate pop to the upside. Let's see what we get out of this. Let's see what we get out of this market. Looking bullish overall. Let's take a quick look at news. We got a pretty clear day today. This is forexfactory.com, my favorite financial news site. We got a pretty clear day today. No red folder, no orange folder. It's a no news Thursday. We got big news coming tomorrow. Why does it say tentative? Is it not at 8:30? Let me just check something here on Financial Juice, guys. Tomorrow's October 3rd. Yeah, 8:30. I don't know why this says tentative. It should be at 8:30 a.m. But anyway, 8:30 a.m. We got non-farm payroll, right? We got NFP. This is a major one, right? Likely going to kick the market into gear. Ahead of these news events, ahead of something like this on a no news Thursday, even with big bullish movement, a lot of times we can get choppy, right? We could just kind of have that choppy consolidating market. I don't know, man. I don't know that we get that today. This thing is looking super duper strong. I'm interested to see where we may start to head from this. Book map overall, positive cumulative volume delta. Nothing crazy, nothing to write home about just yet. We got levels above and below. It's pretty thin above this. I will acknowledge one thing. We'll acknowledge one thing here coming off of Bookmap, and for those of you that are looking at the DOM, you know, you can do the same. It's not terribly thin all the way up until 6,800. Like we got orders up there, 134 in the book up here, 138, past the 6,800, at least for now, right? This changes as we go. There really ain't much up there. Now, that's a huge move, or not a huge move. That's a 25-point move to the upside. So that's not a reason to say, well, there's not a lot of orders above 25 points from where price is right now. I'm going to look short. But it is something I note. If we look on Bookmap, you look on a depth of market, and the market's much thinner in one direction. There's less orders resting on the book than another direction. That could be an interesting piece to take into consideration. To the downside, there's plenty. There's plenty all the way back down, 70, 80 points lower. There's plenty that hasn't been filled even closer to the downside. 67, 65, we got 139 on the book. 67, 67. So to the downside, down below this VWAP, we got quite a bit where we have some of these overlapping levels. Gun to my head, even though we came down to VWAP, I think we're coming down to check this out right off the open. But as you guys know, I don't like to do anything too crazy right off the open. 935. We're going to give this a little bit of time to open up. Let's see where we might go from there. But as always, appreciate you guys hopping on. Thanks for being here, guys. Whoa, OBS. Don't do that to me. Thanks for being here. Just checking the stream. We're looking good. What's up, peeps on kick? What's going on? Welcome back, guys and girls. Appreciate y'all. What's happening? We got Fast Money Formula. What's up? What's up, everybody? Cook Smith, Market Pusher. Good morning. ES wants to follow YM today. Let's see. What do we got on YM? I think it was pushing the upside. Yeah, YM pushing the upside. NQ is completely selling off. Yeah, dude, I don't know what that is, man. I don't know. I don't watch them in unison often. Maybe you guys do. It feels like that's been a really common trend, at least for these opens, where if YM is ripping to the upside, like 100 points off the open, you could almost guarantee that NQ is doing the exact opposite, and then ES is just somewhere in the middle of the two, right? Or maybe YM's dumping and NQ is just ripping through highs. Like, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. And then they seem to settle together into the afternoon, right? I keep a rough eye every once in a while. I flip over there. I don't use correlations between the U.S. indices and different markets and the VIX and all these different things within my trading. But it's definitely been interesting to note that. So yeah, we'll see on this. But yeah, that's what's going on right now. NQ sold off on this. Looking at a 15-minute candle. 250 ticks all the way back down to VWAP. Conversely, YM is forming a 140-point candle to the upside. It didn't sweep the overnight lows, but it swept down below. A little bit of consolidation. It's got a big bullish candle forming, getting ready to break yesterday's high. Tomorrow's high. You think getting ready to break yesterday's high. So interesting. ES here, much calmer, although we are opening up, I'd say pretty damn bullish. We are above prior day high. We are outside of yesterday's value area. Obviously, point of control, we are, looking very, very bullish. I could see some kind of a pullback, some kind of rotation back in here. Again, maybe a deeper push down here before we start to push to the upside. But this market's super strong, man. Super duper strong. I've been on the wrong side of it more times than I would have liked to have been, but it's hella bullish. Hella bullish, for lack of a better term. Just watching a few things here, guys. Watching a few things here. Checking book map. Let me know what you guys think in chat. You think we're going to turn to the downside so far, all the way back down to VWAP on this? I'm expecting at least, even if we're just going to continue this huge drive to the upside, I'd be a little bit surprised on this type of structure where, yesterday we took right off of VWAP, but at very least in pre-market, right, we swept down all the way below. These last 2 days of lows came all the way down here in London session, pushed to the upside, held VWAP, and then took off. If we have a move like this where, we are just super bullish overall, no real push down here in Asia, London at all, taking out some liquidity. Do we just take off right off the open? Maybe. Here's your opportunity for the VWAP buy. Would have played beautifully yesterday. Could potentially play nicely today. First potential trade idea, I'd be looking down around that prior day point of control, the low end of this consolidation. I could see a potential return down here. I don't know that I want to jump in front of something super duper aggressive to the downside. I'm probably going to be just a little bit more patient up here today. See if we start to pull back and then find a lot of buyers. Look for more of a continuation type of a move. More review as well for me has shown that just like I was saying right off the open, aggressively counter to this U.S. Market, man. It just has not played nice with me. Being even more patient than I am, because I like to consider myself pretty damn patient, but being even more patient than I am normally, and waiting for more of the move to develop on the mid time frames, 5 minute, 15 minute, and then looking for a little bit more of a continuation, whether that's to the upside or downside, rather than fading an initial movement. Seems like those are the trades that are playing much nicer with me. So not to say that there's some magic to that, there's some immediate win that's going to be generated from doing something like that, but it's notes, right? I try to just continue to review, right? Look in large sample sizes, not make any changes too quickly, and improve. And if I notice, hey, I'm getting cooked on one thing over another, I probably want to start to adjust to that. Now, the toughest one that I have not adjusted to, that I've made notes of, and I just really have not, I've been too slow to adapt to, has been just shorts in a bullish market not paying, and to be much more cautious of taking short plays. I've had a really strong stat like that. It's not that simple. It's not as easy to say, well, you have a short bias, so that's why you're taking L's. But when there's a stat screaming at you like that, and you're still heavy on the short side, it's time for some adjustment. Definitely time for some adjustment. Yeah, man. So pulling all the way back down on this, we're through VWAP, 9:42 a.m. We're coming into this area of high volume. Like I said, I really am. I'm really not in favor of taking a super aggressive type of trade where I don't wait for any kind of reaction. I just immediately jump in as we hit a level. I'm gonna wait a little bit on this. Start to see if we find buyers down here. Push back up through VWAP, start to hold. I could see a potential continuation. If we come down lower, and we just start to rip to the downside, there could be another play setting up here. But first thing I'm looking at is buyers to try to hold this up here, a pullback and a continuation. We got a really big bullish bar that formed through pre-market and Asia, London. Do we flip that, right? Do we completely flip this the way that we flipped yesterday into a bearish bar? We come all the way down? Could be. Sure could happen. Patience today. That's what I'm going to look for. Let's see what we get today. Chatty chat. Let's see. What's up, guys? Appreciate you hopping on. We got a bunch of people on today. What's up, man? See, I got to start these streams early. I knew it. If I start the stream a little bit early, you guys hop on. You ride it out with me here. Yeah, man. If you're looking for aggressive buys on this, right? If your theory, before I even read the chat, if your thesis today is bullish, you want a continuation. You're looking for a pullback to buy. This looks like it, man. Here we are at prior day point of control. I'm being more patient down here. I said I was waiting for this to be tested. I said, gun to my head up here. I feel like we were coming back down into this 65 area, right? I do think we try to find some buyers putting up a fight up here, right? If we're going to maintain this bullish trend and we're not just going to sell off or we're not just going to chop, this could be an interesting spot. I think another key level right down here, prior week low, right, coming back down to this area that was obviously a key level yesterday multiple times, just looking at the 5-minute. It's where we returned to, right into the close. This overnight low level, right, sweeping some liquidity down there and then looking for a buy. If the thesis is to the upside, continuing, could absolutely be a play for an aggressive move. But, like I said, I'm going to try to do a little bit better job intraday here on ES off the open of flowing with the way the market's moving. I've been very aggressive counter, and it pays well in certain instances, and it cooks me in many others. So I'm going to be a little bit more patient. We're just setting the 15-minute opening range. That's it right there. Here's our 15-minute opening range low right here to the downside. Not something that, I utilize exclusively, but of course you pay attention to where the 15-minute opening range is, the 1 hour, right, initial balance. I think that stuff can be helpful. But pointing this out, if you were waiting for a pullback for an aggressive buy, you want it in long, you're just going to set it and forget it. No TP, aiming for the 6,800s, 6,850s. We're just going to go rip higher. It's bulls on parade. That's it. This is a spot for you, right? Throw a stop loss way in here. We sell off 25, 30 points below VWAP. You're dead wrong. We're probably coming back down, well into yesterday's move, maybe to test some highs, market structure way, way down here, right? So this does give you a way to structure risk for a long. If that's your play. I don't come into the market with that much of a bias. I don't come in before 9:30 and say, I think the market's going to go up and I'm only going to look for buys. Or I think the market's going to go down and I'm only going to look for, sells. I like to wait at least a little bit, although it's still pretty damn volatile. Let the market at least start to show its hand, maybe get a worse entry, worse risk structure, a little bit more probability of one thing happening over another. But we'll see. We will see. Let's see. NQ. Let me go back and read. Anyone want to trade the NQ? Best indicator is YM. Just do the opposite of what YM is doing. Your win weight will go up like crazy. That's funny. Yeah. And Wolf, you have been pointing that out. The divergence of those two off the open. Good morning, Aaron. Good morning, Rhombus. Good morning, XOBY. What's up? Think we're gonna hit yesterday's point of control? Yep, we did that. Prior day point of control rules. Yeah, dude. That's an easy one. Gap fill. What's your stats on taking shorts under VWAP? I don't know. I don't have a breakdown of shorts under VWAP or longs above VWAP or vice versa. I think in general, it depends. I think if you're fighting VWAP, it's a tough play. I fought it yesterday and lost twice. But what I have in general in this market, which should be obvious, is a abysmal win rate on the shorts and a overperforming win rate on the longs. I looked at the straight to sim funded pros that I had quite a bit of trades on, right? Specifically for ES live trading off of the open. I'm not finding that on YM. I'm not finding it on my higher time frame, pre-market to into the market, into NYSE session swing trade stuff. But intraday, right? Obviously, if you're in a massive bull trend, it's consecutive bullish bar after bullish bar. What do you think is going to be the easier hit? Longs. So I also had way too many shorts. I should have had more longs, right? It's probably significantly more longs than shorts by way of just quantity. If you take 100 trades, are you 50 long, 50 short? Are you 75 long, 25 short? I had way too many shorts in there. Just way too heavy of a quantity of shorts that added into it. Is that enough to say, well, just stop taking shorts? No, because all of a sudden, we turn, it's October, we get a fall sell-off, and you're stuck with a long bias because you have hindsight bias as to what just happened, and now you're when it's finally the opportunity for you to start making money, you start losing money heavily. So it's not as simple as that, but I've been more cautious as I've made more and more progress to change too much. Too much, because I used to do that a lot in the past. I think most traders do that. As soon as they take a couple losses, throw it all out the window, right? Okay, start from scratch. Do the opposite. Do something completely differently, right? I'm sure you've done that before. I've done it plenty of times. And right about the time that you start doing the opposite, what you were just doing starts working, right? So it's this kind of thinking in large sample sizes. But there's a limit, right? There's an upper limit where if you can make an adjustment, you have an opportunity to, you got really good information on being able to make this adjustment, and you're too slow to adapt, you suffer, right? Your P&L suffers from it. So I think I've towed that line a little bit. Well, this is bigger thinking, abstract, type of performance review. I think it's difficult with discretion, but the market's always changing ever so slightly, right? It's very dynamic. I think as you progress as a trader, you do have to continue to improve, adapt, flow with that. And using your data is the way to do that. It's always difficult to know what's too small of a sample size, what's too large of a sample size for you personally, right? But there's a balance in there. There's a balance in there between throwing everything out the window as soon as you take a couple losses, strategy hopping, searching for the holy grail, always doing something different, no consistency, and doing the same thing forever, which we just know won't work, right? I mean the exact same thing, right? Volatility is going to change, direction trends are going to change. We're going to have periods of massive volatility and trends, and very low volatility and consolidation. You have to start to be aware of that context. Yeah, this looks like we're selling off towards prior week low, overnight low, man. This looks weak all the way down to the 750s. Holding below VWAP here. I'm not gonna short this. I'm not gonna short it. Not gonna short it today. NQ falling off of a damn cliff. Just taking a look. YM looks like it's struggling to move higher, since you guys got me looking at all, and ES is starting to yeet itself off a cliff here. Yeah, I'm going to wait for a little bit of this to develop, guys. I don't trust this market one way or the other right now. And maybe that's just my read. We're coming off of some losses, right? I try to tell myself to let it all go and to not, remember what happened yesterday. But I'm always aware if I'm in the middle of a really hot streak, I get cautious of overconfidence and just too fast of decision making. And then in the middle of a couple losses, I get I try to pay attention. Are you being too cautious? Are you, reacting in a way relative to that last loss? Try to stay down the middle. But for me, I'm going to wait on this. I don't have a super strong read either way. I think if we sold off from here, it would be everyone, yeah, look, we broke through VWAP. Obviously, we're going to sell off. If we blasted through all-time highs, everybody would go, oh, yeah, obviously. If we pulled back down in an uptrend, what a beautiful buy, right? This could easily go either way for me. I don't think this is one way or the other. For me. Let us see. Chat. Pulling back up towards VWAP here. Just checking a couple messages in Discord. If you guys are not in the Discord, I got a link pinned up top. We got, let's get the exact number. We got, as we watch this market come right back up to VWAP, 2,046 members right now in a 100% free Discord. We got more and more people calling out trade ideas, information, what they're looking at, how they're approaching the markets. I got a giveaway running in Discord. That's going to be the rest of the giveaways for this week. Just in case you're on the live stream, only for a giveaway. I'll give you the info now. Hop in the free Discord, right? You would have to be in there at this point. You can't just hop in there now and share. But hop in the free Discord and check out the giveaway we got rolling for Friday. If you've been in the Discord, you know what to do. You should know what to do. There's a message pinned in the main Discord as well, giving you the info to get into that giveaway. All right. Let's see. Yeah, I open up the main chat and it's Wolf. How do I make contact with the aliens? Got any 100% winning? Oh, when I get to make contact with the aliens, got any 100% winning trading strategies? There's also the fair share of memes in that Discord, but that's okay. We love a well-placed meme. Well-timed meme. Shorts looking good, but bulls don't want to quit. 67, 69 levels. I see that. Let's see. Morning, guys and girls. What's up? Waiting for a break back above 67.72 and a hold to get long personally. Okay. Looking for a break of VWAP to get long. Good morning. Can I ask what your settings are for visible range volume profile? Yes. Here are my settings for visible range volume profile, or volume profile visible range as it's called here in Project X, this indicator over here on the right-hand side. The row size is 200 to the person that asked. And then I have it. Oh, it's actually at 30%. I think I had this at 25 in the past. Yeah, I like it at 25. Pushes it over a little bit. And then I have just colors changed on it. That's all. But I'll go through each one so you can have the exact same format. On the volume profile, the fixed ranges that I just draw for the entire day, I take them from the 1 minute chart and I mark out 3 levels, right? The 3 levels that it pulls, value area high, value area low, and point of control. So you get prior day levels from those. These are also really similar settings. I think I put, 200 on the row size, and just the colors are changed, but none of the other inputs are changed. None of the important stuff. So hope that helps. Happy to give you my chart settings. Pretty simple. I don't have very much on my chart. Probably going to clean up some of these levels because I end up adding things and then I go, oh, it's too much. I can't see price. And I take some levels off. And then I go, oh, well, I kind of want to know about where prior day's volume point of control is and last week's high is, and stuff like that. I think the messages aren't getting through. I don't see the chat updating. Well, I read that one, so that's good. Perfect. Thank you. No problem. Yeah, if you guys ever have like chart questions, like technical, like chart setup, trading setup, colors, and settings and that type of stuff, I'm always happy to try to answer. I don't know it all. I don't have it all figured out, but I used to always want to know, like, oh, how do they make it look cool like that, or whatever they, when I was watching somebody. So I'm happy to answer that. It's nothing secret. It's all the basic common stuff. VWAP with standard settings here in the middle, volume down on the bottom, a couple levels. It's very, very simple. I don't have anything complex on this chart, in my opinion. It's almost the same color candlesticks. That's it. Traditional Japanese candlesticks. All right. Yeah, we read about that. Morning, thank you. Yeah, we're talking to you guys. Yeah, man, I don't know. A little bit of a consolidation down here. A little bit of a consolidation here down below VWAP. Here's what I'm starting to look at, chat. I'm going to wait for some continuation out of this. Like I said, we pulled all the way down to this point of control, this temporary volume point of control, right? This area of high volume below yesterday's high, yesterday's volume point of control. It's coming off the 1 minute. I know my level is looking a little bit low, but I like to get the information from the 1 minute on here. And now we're pushing back up. So, if you wanted it long on a continuation and you wanted to take it before the breakout of VWAP, down here is not a terrible play for that, right? You are flowing with high time frame price action and market structure, right? I would argue that I think most people would argue that overall this is a bullish trend. Overall, if you keep zooming back, you're going to see that overall it's a higher time frame bullish trend. It's not something terrible with that. More immediate, we're not back above VWAP yet, right? We broke VWAP aggressively, and now we're holding below. Buyers failing to get back above. On a breakout to the downside, you could take it in the complete opposite direction, maybe with a stop loss right in here, saying, okay, I think we're going to break and continue. If we have to come back up through VWAP, I'm out. I'm wrong on this trade, but I'm targeting the 750s to the downside, which looks like it's about to be in play here. Looks like it's about to be in play here. Yeah, consolidating here, man. Really consolidating. Key level that we have developing here. Really key level. We are liking this 765 area, putting up a fight. Again, guys, I can still see this going either way. I don't have a really clean setup. I don't have a really clean way to structure risk. If I got short on something like this, I think me where I like to run a pretty wide stop. I don't really love a stop loss right in here. You wouldn't need the trade to move in your direction very far to generate a win, but that's kind of tight. It's a little bit tight, and I think this area could be a problem, right? We start pushing back up to the upside. You do run the risk of something like this. Yeah, this is not it just yet. Run the risk of something like this. So getting long right on this first break with a stop loss right in here. A little bit dicey. Yeah, there's a short play in here, man. There's a short play. Failure to get back above VWAP, allowing for a retest of this. That's what happens, man. I'm gonna get fatigued on the shorts. Right when I need to start taking them from yesterday. CVD is low, but not terribly low. Yeah, guys, like if I was going to take this short, I don't know about holding past over just a sweep of overnight low. This is my problem here. This is more of a risk structure trade, risk structure issue, right? Like at very best, I'd get a 1-to-1 with a stop right in here, and I don't really love that at very best. This looks like we want to break and at least come down here to prior week low, overnight low. Pretty key level in here from price action to market structure. If we're going to continue this move, I think that's the next area that we hit. I don't know about holding, just for a turn, a complete turn of this. Could happen. Could come all the way back down towards the 750s. But I don't love that just yet. I also don't love the shorts. I've talked about it multiple times. I don't know. I keep finding myself in shorts, man. I don't know. So I'm going to stay a little bit more patient, see what we get out of this. I think I'm going to stay patient. I'm going to try I'm going to try, answering your guys' questions in the chat. I'm going to try not to fight VWAP. I'm going to try not to be completely on the wrong side of VWAP, meaning consistently taking longs when price is below volume weighted average price and pushing to the downside, and consistently taking shorts as price is above volume weighted average price, pushing to the upside. All right, I'm going to try to be on the right side of that. That's the kind of the slang term for that. Does that guarantee some kind of win or anything? No. But in general, you're not fighting the overall session trend, the immediate trend, right? That's contextual though. There's a different trend on every time frame that you look and how far you zoom in and out on your chart. You can almost always find a downtrend or an uptrend and say you're fighting the trend or you're flowing with the trend. So that's all subjective, very subjective. I don't like to be a breakout trader. I just don't like the risk structure associated with taking breakouts. And I think oftentimes the market chops and consolidates. And if you are strictly a breakout trader, you get absolutely smoked on those days. I like to trade more aggressively from the extremes, but I'm going to wait for a little bit more indication out of this one. Because a short is aggressively fighting the higher time frame trend. We have a very strong higher time frame trend, all-time highs, pushing, opening up above high, right? More immediate, we sold off right through VWAP, and buyers can't take it back above. So this is looking weak to the downside. Negative CVD, price action market structure indicating that we might want to move lower. We got a level down there. Again, conversely, for a much higher time frame trade, if you're just looking long, not a bad option. Stop, well down below that overnight low, run it through the highs. If that's your thesis here. For me, just not a beautiful setup yet. Not a beautiful setup just yet. If we start to push back through this VWAP really aggressively, I'm interested to see what happens. If we come down to these lows again after this consolidation below VWAP, I'm potentially going to look at a short. This looks like a short play, guys. What would get me in? What would have gotten me in is if one wick was higher here. If we did one of these wicks up here. This sucks. I'd be happy taking something more aggressive like this. Which I don't mind, right in here. If we had already wicked up here, at least tested above VWAP one time, take everybody out that already got short in here. Without doing that, without having that type of price action, that's a more appropriate stop, right? That's a more cleaner invalidation level, right? Like, do I think we can do this? Sure, that would look beautiful, right? You'd say, yep, in line with the trend and everything, right? So stop can go out here. I could do that. But then for a 1-to-1, here's my target, right? So that from a risk to reward standpoint, this could be a little bit tough. Again, I think it's a pretty reasonable expectation to say we come down to the 755s. Right in there. We got liquidity down there. We got overnight low right here, prior week high, key level. Not an insane amount of volume traded there, but key level that was tested multiple times we pushed off from. Looks like sellers want to probe this lower. Do I think that's a great place to have a stop? No, not really. Not really. So, no trade for me. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sit tight. I'm going to sit patient. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, we were talking to you guys in chat. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you guys think. No shorts until we break overnight low for me. Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Such a cute barcode on the 3-minute chart. Yeah, this is just consolidation now. Still waiting. Yeah, you guys are waiting. Yep. Yep. Red, green, red, green. Yeah, we're kind of chopping here. You know, I like to talk about it. Like I said up here, gun to my head. I think we're coming down to, you know, this prior day volume point of control down here. I think we're headed down here. I think at least we sweep it, but you know, I'm not confident that we sell off through this. You know. Here we go. Bearish bar forming down towards the lows. I wouldn't look long on this just yet. Yeah, we got liquidity to go fill down towards the 750, 755s, 750s. Not a bad play. Not a bad play, but I'm gonna hang out on this one. YM dropping, nice. Oh, YM turned around. What's NQ doing? Wolf and Dwayne. Those of you that watch all the U.S. indices, what's NQ? Did NQ rip to the upside? Out of curiosity, let me look at it. I try not to flip flop too much on. Oh, let's see. Let me open up. The live account. Let me open up the live account and see what I got. Oh, there you go. Yep, selling off down towards this level. Let's see if we just dip down here or if we start to get below this. I may have been filled on a. I got no trades in the instant fundeds today, but I may have been filled on a YM short if we popped to the upside and we did end up cracking prior day high. But here we go. A little trade to the downside would have played nice. Let's see what happens down here. Now I'm actually getting interested. Let me focus up here, guys. Let me focus up right here. Chat. Let's not get too distracted. Let's see. Yeah, if your bias is long, and you weren't long yet, and you're looking for the really aggressive long, it's in. But this is looking weak now. Obviously, consolidating below VWAP, breaking lows, continuing lower so far. I stayed patient out of here, and I stick to my guns on that. I don't think that, although it looks like it's going to pay now, right? I don't think that this is a beautiful one. Just for example, right? Let's say something like a 1-to-1. I don't think this plays nice with you every day, right? I think there are a lot of instances where you're going to catch. Okay, you're down around the lows, you're selling for the breakout, you're preempting it, and you catch the little wick right here, right to the upside. You know, you can physically wait for the break like that and then end up with an even tighter stop loss and a worse take profit. But for me, on something like this, the thesis would be just a little move like that, and you're probably not taking it until you're coming down on a 5-minute candle like that, and at very worst, a 1-to-1 is looking like that. Just not great. Again, for me, on another day, if I'm going to take a continuation type trade like this, you know, down towards a level without a whole bunch of other strong indication, I think a wick up like that would have done something for me. One more clean out, right? I'm much more comfortable taking a continuation type of trade after we get like a gnarly stop run, right? As a lot of people talk about it. The stop run type movement, right? Because who knows what the hell's actually going on. But the one that seems to fake everybody out right here, pull back up, take everybody out that got short, stops up here, pop all of them, and then come right back down to the lows, that looks really good. It's kind of what we got yesterday, where I took the short for the break of VWAP, which did not play nice with me, but we'll see. We'll see what we get today. Yeah, I might have a YM win. I'm watching YM on Bookmap. Yeah, let's look at him with you guys. Oh yeah. I'm without even looking at my live, I know where my order was from this morning as well. Let me not play with it, but we're taking a look. Why I'm pushing the downside. NQ also now not following suit. So now for you guys that trade correlation, now what happens? Does NQ blast off and YM sell off? How do you deal with this? I could never figure it out. I can't make it work. Maybe you say, oh well, this was the fake out move. Only one of them had a fake out move, and now they're all in correlation, moving to the downside, and I'm comfortable taking shorts or something like that. But I don't know. I always ended up trading the wrong U.S. indice chart, essentially, right? I'd be watching NQ and then trading ES or YM or vice versa. I like them, but I like to trade them individually based on their own price action, market structure, volume, whatever tool I want to use. Let's see. NQ might be ready for a second breakdown. Got in at 799. Target was just below. Opening candle low. I trailed too aggressively as usual. There goes my $200 trade. Wolf. Well, how are you losing, Wolf? You're King Bear. What happened? We're going down. At least it's green. Needs to be one is bigger. Yeah, it is green. Green is green. So, taking a look at Bookmap, just sharing some of the tools that I use. No massive indication of really anything on here, right? We talked about being a little bit thin to the upside compared to the downside. Like, as we're coming into the open here, like this looked pretty damn thick. These aren't huge levels that are standing out, and they weren't really on the market. They weren't really on the book before open, which is something I look at. But there is liquidity to grab all the way down to the 750s. We get down below that. There's not like, hundreds and hundreds of lots, big red orders lit up like a Christmas tree down here. Nothing too crazy. And as far as cumulative volume delta, which I do use for better or for worse, it did, again, yesterday was a day where I was leaning on CVD pretty heavily because it is a tool that I use and watch. Did not help me. Really did not help me. It was giving me a read, something that I utilized in a trading decision. It didn't help me at all. Which happens, right? You're not going to be right every day. The tools that you use are only going to be, so helpful in the way that you use your discretion to interpret them. But I have noticed one thing about cumulative volume delta. It tends to act a little bit different. It tends to be flatter in general, but it tends to act a little bit odd around, definitely around contract changeover, around rollover. But it also tends to act to just give weird readouts and reads around the end of the month and the beginning of the month. Not enough for me to really recognize that yesterday, but that was definitely something that I noted when I went back and looked, and I went, yeah, first day of the month, man. Volume can be a little bit tricky around certain times. Anyway, still staying patient. I don't have a trade in here. This wouldn't be a winner on a short from the lows. Maybe we get a V-shaped reversal. Maybe we just chop. I think a sweep down here and then an immediate, step back in of a nice bullish candlestick. Maybe for a buy. If we just come right back up on this, maybe looking at a long. But this is This is not too much for me to work with just yet. I think NKU goes long from here. Okay. I don't know what you mean, Wolf, but green is. Oh, I know what you mean. He said, I don't have cojones, man. Small retracement. I panicked. That was too much of NQ does. I'm still getting used to how YM moves. Yeah. They all move a little bit differently. I'll move a little bit differently. If I had to classify it, YM is pretty gnarly too, dude. YM is obviously, take a look at it today. YM is aggressive. Like that's no joke. Like it decides to start going, and we're like 200 points, 200 ticks in the opposite direction of this nice bullish pop off the open. Now 1 point equals 1 tick on YM, so I think the risk structure with a mini contract is not as bad as NQ, but it's still aggressive moving on a that's a 5-minute chart, right? Like that's pretty damn aggressive, man. That's a big 15-minute bar to the downside. Like that's nothing to bat an eye at. Anyway, staying focused here for a minute on ES. And again, guys, for the record, I'm trying to stay patient on shorts, but that is looking like a potential play here. Not for me, having waited, but short through VWAP, short on a break and retest, and then a little bit of a continuation would be paying so far. I think at this point, for me, just framing a trade idea, potential long on a reversal, a clean out. How I would read this potentially, a clean out of all the longs in here, looking for this thing to just continue ripping to the upside today, and then a potential move back up. Looking at the daily candle, which I like to do. We gonna put an insane wick here and sell off today? Is that what we get ahead of NFP? Are we gonna put like a crazy top in here? Sweep the highs, get a little bit of close in here, nice beautiful big wick to the upside on ES, and then we just dump for a crazy double top on the daily. That's not out of the equation either. But when I end up being able to make the case both ways too clearly, I'm just not going to take a trade. I'm just going to hang out, wait a little bit, see if something beautiful sets up. From down here, like I talked about, I really don't want to fight VWAP this aggressively. I'm not interested in an aggressive limit order down here. But a really aggressive long on a sweep of overnight low, prior week high could be a play. 750's got some orders. 745's got some orders. We'll see if we start to sell off. I don't think we'll get NFP with the shutdown. Oh, here we go, fundamental guys. See, because I don't pay enough attention to the fundamentals, at least. It can go down and consolidate unless there's irrefutable evidence of a long. Don't get into a long. Dwayne, don't trust longs right now. There's a lot of room to the downside, like a lot. See, Zach, I keep telling you, get the direction, the level's right, but holding on to the trade, I panic, exit. Yeah, that's the hard part. I just put a reel out. Right? I would consider a fixed take profit, fixed stop loss, Wolf. I would maybe consider that. It's one of the hardest things. Trade management's one of the toughest things, right? Like we can often didn't get unemployment numbers today. Oh shoot. Okay. Rhombus, good info. I'll take a look at that. Yeah, but we're talking about trade management. It's a good conversation, man. It's there's a lot of quotes, there's a lot of like comments. You never get smarter after you put the trade on. Once the P&L starts flashing, everything goes out the window. And I think for a lot of traders, like Wolf is describing right there, they have great analysis, great read of the market. They have good entries. They structure risk well overall. They have good targets. They wait patiently. They do everything they're supposed to do up until, which is a huge part of it, the trade being on. So they hit the buy or sell button, and then what happens? Everything goes sideways. They take profit and stop loss get moved. They add in, they scale out, they close, they go stop loss to break even. They do 47 different things that ruin the nice, good trade that they had in the first place. And if they just let the thing go all the way to a take profit, all the way to a stop loss, they might be able to make money. Even if you're not, and you acknowledge that, hey, I'm losing more than I'm making, what I'm doing is not working, the less inputs you have after the trade's on, the easier it is to track that information and to look at what's not working and what's working and then to adjust from there. So I don't think just setting to take profit and stop loss and then never doing anything is the best trade management strategy at all. It's probably not the best for anyone, but it's the easiest, and it's the easiest to not F up, right? And from a starting point as a trader, if I could go back, I would have stayed with fixed take profits and fixed take stop losses longer. And even me with my trades now, what I do, I don't find that inputs after the trade's on are that beneficial for the most part. I don't have a strong, a really strong way to do that. I like to apply some discretion. I talked about applying even more discretion here on ES with you guys in the morning. Maybe closing out ahead of a stop loss, doing something different on discretionary closes. But you got to find your weak point. Like, I can hold my trades probably too long, arguably for better or for worse. Some people can't hold their trades at all. As soon as the thing's on, as soon as it's in a little bit of profit, the close button's getting hit like right away, right? If you find yourself doing that, maybe you set and forget. If you find yourself maybe more on the side of me where you got the diamond hands, you can let the thing go, but maybe you notice, hey, bro, if it goes 75% of the way to take profit, if I got a 20-point stop and it hits 20-point take profit and it hits 15 points and then it starts reversing aggressively, those come back and stop me out. I got to go stop loss to break even, right? Maybe there's something in there that you say, hey, reasonably, if we get close, don't hit, and then come all the way back down, I should probably be closing. You adjust to that, right? But if you're constantly jacking up your trade after it's on, not only are you going to lose money, you're not going to know how to improve. You're just going to stay stuck in there, right? So, try to, it's not directed at you, Wolf, but try to back it out. Try to make it simpler. Go back to the basics. What can I do to kind of simplify this to at least be able to track some data, right? Because it's not fun. It's not fun when you're losing money, right? But at very least, if you can see what's happening, right, you can watch something play out over and over and over again, and then you're able to adjust. You can make improvements, right? If you have no idea what's working and not working because you're all over the map with trade management, even when you're taking wins, you don't know how to replicate it. You don't know how to keep doing what you're doing because you don't even know what you're doing in the first place, right? So that's the comment there. Watching this thing start to catch some buyers right off of this level here, man. I think a long would be pretty aggressive from down here. It would really be below VWAP, right? Be fighting VWAP. I'd be looking for a continuation back up or maybe some chop. I don't really have a setup on this is the short of it. I'm not going to keep going round and round in circles. I'll hang out with you guys and yap until I get something, but this is just not it for me. If you're looking for a continuation of the downside, here's your retest of the lows, right? Classic break and retest for a downside trade. But I can make the case either way for me. I just don't have a clear setup in this. So I don't want to stop right here. We didn't even take this out. What would maybe get me into a long? Like what would have gotten me into a short up here like I talked about? If this looked gnarly, we're like, wow, man, what a sell-off. We really, we came right down here, cracked overnight low, came into the like 740s, mid 740s, and then immediate reversion, come back down, can't break the low, and then come back up really aggressively. That's what I'm looking for today. Something like that. Continuation of the upside We got a pretty strong low put in. You know you're dead wrong if you come back through it. We're selling off. But at least we've kind of taken everything out down here. You know, maybe anybody that was long in this area came down, popped stops across the board, picked up buy orders. And now we just have, just outside of all that, we just have strong price action, market structure back up to the upside. If I was going to take something down here, I'd want it like that. Now, we just come back up on this, right? You know, that could be making a case for the across VWAP type of trade, continuation to the upside. You get a stop down here. You know, you're wrong if we just come back down. But this is just not too beautiful today for me. Close on a short continuation, right? The type of trade that I'm trying to look for these days. The adjustment that I'm trying to make. But not with this structure. Not with this structure. And what did we come to? We didn't even trade the 7. Yeah, we came down to trade the 757s. Like, that's not. That wouldn't even be a W. Coming back to break even, it would be. We'll see. We'll see. We shall see, chat. We shall see. Morning, Mike Z. What's up? Cleaning up all the trap shorts from the overnight gap. Oh, we talked about that. Other than the correction markets. Other than the correction markets only been up. Yep. I'd agree with that. I don't know. I opened up my long-term holds on trying not to dox myself, but I opened up the stock accounts and it's about this time where you feel like a genius, right? If you're holding anything, pretty much in the U.S. markets, you've been making money. You open up every day, nice and green. You think, why do I even try any of this other stuff? I should just buy and hold. You know, and then we get like a COVID crash, and you think, oh man, what am I doing with all this long hold stuff? None of this works. This is terrible. Let's see. We were talking about NQ back to VWAP. Not sure about long list clears at level. Yeah, wouldn't want to stop below there. Yep. This level to VWAP. Okay. Yeah, looking for a move back to VWAP. XOBY. Could see that. Rewire my brain. Yep. More tempted to short NQ at VWAP. Interesting. Wolf goes, Dwayne, do you trade NQ too? And Dwayne said, yes, for my sins. Oh, man. NQ, the monster in the room. The big monster in the room. Let's see. Making a turn to the downside here. Do we start to find buyers, or do we break this? You know, here's your beautiful breaking continuation of the downside, man. This thing just looks like it might be a clean downtrend for me. That's kind of what this feels like, guys. This is looking weak. I'm certainly not jumping into it. Pretty flat on cumulative volume delta, but like I talked about, a little bit funky on that. Let's see. What do we think, guys? You think we're breaking down on this? don't know, man. I do not know. Excuse me. Excuse me. Watching some bookmap over here. Trying to get a feel for what's coming up on this bad boy. Let's see. Supposed to know the mean. Three markets are not in sync. Usually a sign to stay away. If that's how you read it. Yep. ES wants to follow YM today. Yesterday it was ENQES. Make up your gosh darn mind whom you want to follow. Okay, more seriously, ES is trying to reject from the point of control from yesterday. If that rejection holds, then we may actually see a good move down. Yeah. Again, looking at this, guys, this is looking pretty dang weak. I use CVD decently heavily these days. Not a super strong read on that. It's negative 1,000, negative 900. It's bouncing around there. But as far as price action and market structure goes, this is looking weak, right? Objectively, we opened up to the downside. We broke through VWAP. We couldn't come back up. We tried. We held VWAP to the downside. We broke lows, pulled back up, tested prior day point of control twice. Now we're all the way back down to the lows, right? Does this look beautiful for a long? Not to me. This looks like we want to continue. If we start to break 750s, big round psychological number down here, could get more more aggressive than that. Looking down below that level, looking down below the 750 level, right, where we got quite a bit of volume and price action traded. I think like the next potential spot for anything, in my humble opinion, we start to get down below that, would be somewhere in here. Let me just pull the 15. Would be somewhere in here, but I'd really, if it was an insane gnarly move to erase this push from yesterday, all the way back down to like the 725s, right? Now that'd be a pretty large move out of the market, but not unheard of. But this would be a discretionary level, just marking off of price action and market structure, right? Tops and bottoms, areas that we've rejected at, that we've at least paused at, that we've had price come back and through. Moved through that very cleanly yesterday, so not a super strong level, but below this, below 750s, unless we just sweep down in here and pop right back up, I think it's a larger move to the downside. But I don't have some super strong bearish bias. I don't have enough to short this market and throw a stop way above overnight high and just send it to the downside. But this is looking weak. We got our initial balance low, right? Talking about some stats. Edgeful is a good supplier of these, but looking at initial balance high and low, the first 1 hour opening range, I think it's one of the strongest statistics. If you're going to look at any type of statistic for an opening range, it gets stronger as the day goes on, obviously. But the first 1 hour, 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Eastern, based on what side is set first and last, there's a strong statistic about which side is most likely to break. That's really obvious, right? But what's maybe not as obvious is once one side breaks, if one side breaks, we are very, very unlikely to come back and break the other side. And whichever side breaks first, there is a average continuation. We typically don't just sweep it by a tick or two, specifically on actually on all the U.S. indices, but specifically on ES. I'll have to pull the stats for that and give you guys the exact numbers. But what that means and how you could use that, I mark enough levels on my chart. I don't need 47 more, but I'm aware right at this time, right? It's now 10:39 a.m. Eastern. We've set the initial balance high and low, right? Our initial balance high is this 9:30 open candle right here, right? Initial balance low is right down here. We are more likely to break this one first, obviously, right? Whichever one sets last is more likely to break first. Price is often closer to that area to begin with. The trend is developing that direction. That's pretty obvious. If this side breaks, we typically extend it by a decent amount. There's a number, an average for the last 6 months, year, 3 months, 2 years of data. What that number is can give you a potential target, a potential reasonable spot to look at more days than not. If we break to the downside, here's how far it moves on average. But we often do not come back and break the other side, right? We often do not break both sides. It's a very, very small percent that we break both sides of the initial balance. It happens, right? It can happen consecutive days in a row, but it's not frequent. And that can give you a objective way to frame trade ideas, right? Now, I think the argument can be made that, yeah, all that stuff's obvious, and that's what backtesting is for, and that's what pattern recognition is for. It is, right? And that's what we utilize. It's how we build a discretion or intuition based on whatever tools you trade. But if you want, and maybe if you're newer, or if you just want added confidence to look at numbers, which I think can be helpful, that's a good resource. It's a good resource to understand, okay, once this happens and this happens, here's what happens more often than not over the last year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, however much data you want to look at. Has it also been happening frequently? What does the last month look like? The last 3 months look like? This is what we look at in back testing, but some of those stats I think can be interesting to look at. 3/4 of the time, 75% of the time, one thing's happening more often than not. You may not want to be fading that every day, right? You're probably going to struggle. The other side of that sword is a stat like that enough to trade off of completely? No, right? I think just going short with a stop loss on the other side of the initial balance is a play, and long, for a breakout to the upside? No, right? Where the hell is your target going to go? How are you going to manage the trade? What does price action and structure and volume and everything look like before you broke one of those sides? What does the higher time frame trend look like? But it can be interesting to be aware of those, right? Here's one that helped me out, that really stood out to me, since we're just yapping and watching this market kind of chop to the downside. I was trading my segment for the most part on Top Step TV was Power Hour towards the end. And I was primarily getting called up to go to Power Hour. And there's an interesting statistic. There's a strong statistic that in the last hour of the day, Power Hour is from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern, the last hour of NYSE session specifically, not the last hour of the day. But during Power Hour, from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern on the U.S. indices, it is uncommon, very uncommon, that a new high of day or low of day gets put in. I think when I was trading last year and I was looking at that stat specifically, I was trying to look at a lot of things around Power Hour and backtest and what was happening during Power Hour. It was like less than 20% of the time we put a new low of day in, and less than like 28% of the time we put a new high of day in. That definitely changed from there, but it was something really strong. And I would have to ask myself, even on a day where we sold off, it's 3:15 p.m., if I'm looking short with a target past low of day, objectively, I'm aiming for something that happens very infrequently, right? So you might want to trade with that stat and have a stop loss outside of that, current low or high of day, trading back into the range, back towards maybe the middle ground, right? Trading alongside of that stat. Again, is that enough to just trade off of alone? No, I don't think so. But if you're constantly shorting for a break of low of day in Power Hour through backtesting and maybe through stats using things like Edgeful, and you recognize that that doesn't even happen a quarter of the time, right? It's 80% of the time that does not happen. Then why are you aiming for that, right? It can help you start to frame some of these things. And I wasn't aware of that, and that's not one that I would have expected. Some of the stuff is somewhat obvious if you trade for long enough, you recognize the patterns. But that one, I was like, really? Because it feels like when the market's selling off into the close, we kind of just are putting lows in and we just continue lower. Maybe it was a little bit, but it was strong, man. And I was like, damn, I got to question, when I'm taking a trade in that direction, aiming for a new high or a new low. So it's worth thinking about. I'll get you guys some more info because we've been talking more and more about that. All right. Down to prior week high, overnight low. What happens here? Do we sweep and pop right back in? Do we find buyers here? We're consolidating again. Waiting to see. Waiting patiently, guys. I'm still no trade. This is really choppy. This is really back and forth and choppy. But it is continuing to the downside. We've come up and taken out little highs, but this is still looking weak and still pushing to the downside here. Let's see. Tried the short on NQ to IB low from VWAP. ES thinking to follow, or it's not in a range. Good morning. Yep. Here we go. Putting lows in. Breaking to the downside here. I'm looking to see what happens around that 750, 745, man. I'm interested down here. 750, 745. It's the breakdown today, guys. Dang. All right, come on, NQ traders. Is NQ selling off? I'll ask you guys in chat. I won't even look. Now, on another day, really, really aggressively looking long on this. Really aggressively. I'm trying to get a little more patient than taking it off of a level. 750 is interesting. 745 is interesting. I want to see what happens down here. CVD dropped off quite a bit. Nothing crazy. 2200. I want to see what happens. Do we fill this down here at 745, 750? Is this just going to be a trend day to the downside, or are we indeed faking everybody out and we're going to continue moving in the direction of this trend? I think this day, I really don't have a clean indication of how this one is going to close. We opened up nice and bullish for pre-market Asia, London. We've completely erased that. We're down back into prior day high. We're back down below the low of those sessions. Do we continue this? Do we put that really high daily candle, really long daily candle wick into the upside and then sell right back off, erasing a lot of this move from yesterday? That's what we're doing so far. Gold having a bit of sell-off. Interesting. I don't know, man. I don't know. Like I said, I made a couple comments, right? Gun to my head up here. Short back to VWAP, back down to this area, right? Prior days value area high. As we broke the low and kind of consolidated, gun to my head, short down to this level. I just didn't have a good way to structure risk on any of this. This was way too early in the morning, right off the 9:30 open. No good way to structure risk. As we come lower long, gun to my head, I'm long off the 50s, the 45s, stop loss down below that into the mid 30s. If I had to take a trade, we'll see. We'll see if that starts to come lower. I'll be right back, guys. Be right back. All right, guys, back in action with you here. Ooh, we're still trying the lows. We're still trying the lows. Let's see what we get here. Watching book map on this bad boy. Interesting. Interesting, chat. I'm still no trade on this. Still no trade on this bad boy for now. Let's see, man. We gonna go? Yeah, I don't know. I don't trust this one way or the other. Gun to my head, I'm long down here. I talked about not trying not to take shorts, which that would be fine, but I also talked about trying not to enter stupid aggressively, just on consecutive bearish bars. You end up with beautiful entries when they do happen, and you end up getting cooked when it doesn't play nice with you. So I don't know that I want to try to fade this move to the downside, at least right now. 1050, but I'm gonna hang out with you guys for a little bit. Yo, if I put background music on, let me know if this is super annoying to you guys. Let me know if this is like way too loud to hear me over. I can actually turn it down a little bit on the screen capture. Can you guys hear over this? Can you hear it at all? Is it super loud? Somebody help me out. Play some background music. Chatty chat. Way too low, can't hear it. Can you hear me over it? Does it completely jack this up? What's up, Brian? How about like that? Oh, you guys help me out in chat. I'm talking over and over again, so you guys can tell me if this music is like way too loud, way too low. I can hear stuff on my end. I can watch the audio readout on OBS, but until I go back and watch the streams, I can never tell. And sometimes my voice is super low. Sometimes I'm like blowing your eardrums out. Sometimes my intro music is like super loud. Nice. Just right where it is. What's up, Alan? What's going on? Perfect. Thank you, guys. For the record, I don't mind playing some random background music. I listen to everything. But YouTube is not friendly with any kind of music. Like, this is going to get a copyright ban. And it's random, like, Japanese trap background music. Still gonna get me. I got to get the copyright free setup. But then you end up listening to like random no mute, like just stuff that you would never listen to. Anyway, still selling off here, man. I'm sitting patient on this, guys. I'm really thank you for letting me know. Appreciate you guys. Polly, Dwayne, thanks, guys. Brian, awesome. I'm sitting patient on this. This looks weak to the downside. Obviously, we're continuing to sell off. I think sells in here would have been a decent play today. Not enough indication for me to get short. Not a great risk structure. If I had to find something down here, it's a long. I don't think that I'm gonna try it unless we get a really aggressive move down to the 45s. I think down into the 45s, 44s, and I watch at least a little bit of buying pressure step in. I wouldn't mind trying something like that. It would give me a good risk structure, but like I talked about, it's really counter. It's really counter to the movement. So I'm going to be cautious trying to catch a falling knife. I'd like to see at least maybe one 5-minute bar get put in that's looking good. Watch liquidity get taken out on Bookmap. Watch CVD jump. I like that better than a super duper aggressive short like I took twice yesterday, because at very least I'm flowing with this higher time frame trend to the upside. But this this daily candle is scaring me, man. I usually, you know, I kind of use context, right? As a whole, it's not that I'm usually staring at the daily or the 1 hour or whatever it is. Time frames are all different, but also similar, right? They're fractal. This daily candle, man, I don't know about this, guys. I don't really know about this. Like, you know, what am I trading for if I get long in here on a higher time frame view that this pushes back up and we close up here all the way near the highs? Can certainly happen, but this is looking pretty ugly right now. Looking really ugly right now. It's good. A bit sus. Yeah, it's a little bit sus up here, guys, as the kids say. That's the really highly technical sus. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to keep it more more intelligent than sus. If I start saying that, I'm really slipping. Yeah, man. I didn't have a great read on this off of the open. I didn't have a really clean setup. I mapped out a couple things that might have got me into a short. A more aggressive pop up here and then continuation lower would give me some confidence to get a tighter stop in here. Just selling a breakout in here would have played nicely so far. Really anything to the downside. As we push lower down here, I'm interested to see what happens if we get, again, down around the 45s. I would really want to take it from the extreme, and I'd want to see some buying pressure by way of price action moving to the upside, volume, and a view of liquidity on bookmap being taken out. Nice big green bubbles start to pop in, price start to push up on that, CVD start to climb. I could consider something, but that overall, this is a little sketchy. It's a little sketchy, but we'll see. We'll see. Again, trading 3 of these 150K instant fundeds aggressively, attempting to build buffer. I've got one in a really good spot. I don't like to speak above anything because the consideration for a live account is unique to everybody. They look at a lot of different things. It's not a if this happens, then this happens. It's at their discretion. But I got one in a pretty good spot, eligible for a payout that I've put into a pretty nice spot with buffer. So we'll see what that looks like. I've got one that's almost the one that yesterday that I was trading was multiple losses. That's in drawdown, and I think this one's got about $4,500 of profit in it. So drawdown is actually locked to break even. But I'm trading these aggressively, meaning I won't hold on to them for multiple months. Does that mean I'm sim farming them and ripping through them? No. The one that I had buffer and I traded for over a month. Okay, if you're trading for more than a day or two, you're going slow enough in that respect, or a week or 2 weeks. But I'm trading them aggressive enough in a sense that if I risk, $2,000 a day max personal daily loss limit, before I build a buffer, I only have a couple losing days before the account's dead. That's aggressive, right? That's aggressive. You're gonna lose accounts doing that. I think if I started to get myself in a situation where I lost too many of them in a row, I'd have to slow down, right? Otherwise, you get flagged for sim farming, you get flagged for churning and burning accounts, and that's what you're doing. You're not providing any positive expectancy. You're just losing accounts. But so far we're okay in that regard. But that's worth noting, right? It's worth noting to talk about what the heck the person's doing that you're watching. So here we go, down past the 50s, man. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to give you guys a little bit more insight, right? I'd like to get a trade off in these accounts. I'd like to get a trade in these accounts, in this account. Not copy trading today. I'd like to get one off, and the only real reasonable spot that I see doing that is going to be from down here. Is this a beautiful trade? Not really. It's very counter to this sell-off. I think we could absolutely just rip to the downside. If we pop back up without even coming to touch VWAP, I could generate a nice win from down here. The risk to reward, obviously, on trades from the extremes is always feels better. The probability of it playing out is just not too high. So again, I talked about the 50s to the 45s multiple times. We're in this level. I'm anticipating throwing a really aggressive one on down here, guys. If we continue to sell off, obviously I wasn't in short, and selling down here I don't think is a great play. I think a stop loss right above the last high at very best is all you're going to get. I don't have an opportunity to the downside. If we push really aggressively back up, at very best I would get a continuation all the way in here with a stop just below the low. I really don't like that trade as much. So as this continues to develop, my if-then statements, continue on. What I don't like about this one is it's extremely counter, fighting VWAP long below. To this session trend, right? Is it along with the, multi-month bull trend that we've been in? Sure. But let me see what happens as we start to break down here. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think this is going to be a decision-making point, right? We're either going to hit these 45s, find some buyers, start to bounce back up, turn this into a choppy day, or start to flip this bullish, or we absolutely dump. We just continue this knife down and we absolutely sell off. I like to wait for spots where I think I'm either going to be really wrong or really right. Unfortunately, I've been really wrong a handful of times recently, but that's part of the game. So I'm gonna see what happens down here around the 45s. But again, I gotta acknowledge, man, this isn't a beautiful one. This is not a beautiful one. Ooh, there we go. Really aggressive crackdown through these 45s. Trying this super aggressive from down here, guys. Trying this super duper aggressive from down here. I'm going to throw a very wide stop on this. Just to get started. But I'm trying this super aggressive off the 45s. Super aggressive. Wick down below. A lot of volume filled right there. I think we at least get a bounce. This is probably something I'm going to let it chop around here for a minute, do whatever it needs to do, but I'm really catching an aggressive buy here, man. So I want to see a really gnarly reaction, maybe one more sweep down below this level, tap in around the 40s, and then a pop back up. But I'm running this with a really wide stop loss. If we started to aggressively sell off, you can quote me now on this. I don't think I'm going to let it come down here. I just want to be able to let this thing breathe for a minute, watch what it does, and see if we can't catch a little bit of a bounce on this. But I'm long, 67, 45, 50 with 2 minis. Again, a little bit more aggressive in these accounts, right? Much more aggressive in these accounts. Do I think this is a beautiful trade? No, man. I'm trading super counter again to this session trend. Not really waiting for a lot of buying pressure to step in, but I don't have a trade past this point, which is not a great reason to take a trade, right? So, you know, is this something that I would pull in a live account or in an account that I would really want to, that I value more the not taking a trade in than potentially taking a loss and, you know, looking back and saying that's not a really beautiful one? No, right? So that's why I think it's important to articulate. And I don't think a lot of guys say that. I don't think like a lot of guys will say that. Damn, there's a nice bounce, man. Nice bounce out of this so far. Very nice bounce out of this so far. Let's see. Buyers like those 45s. Not, even with this big move up to the upside, not a ton of volume behind this. Yeah, if we can go grab the 55s, I'm out. Not a lot of volume on this back up to the upside. There we go. But a really aggressive movement. Super impulsive. What a knife on this one. Go get the 55s. Not quite enough for me. Not quite enough for me. Not quite enough for me. Hell of an entry on that one, though, chat. Can't complain about that. You know, the other side of that is you pull a really aggressive move like that, entering on a knife down, you know, you get your face ripped off. Like I said, I got a stupid wide stop loss down here. We start to sell through this. I'm going to get out for a partial loss. I really, unless Trump tweets and takes me out for, you know, 1,500. But I'm allowing myself at a max. I really don't want to kill one of these accounts in less than 2 days. Watching bookmap on this one. Watching bookmap on this one. Can we go tag the 55s? That's what I'm looking at. I think we could see seller step back in here. Yeah, somewhere right in there would be beautiful. Somewhere right in there would be beautiful. Where's my 10? Yeah, guys, I'm gonna take this one quickly. This could be just an insane push to the upside, but I'm gonna take this one quickly. I'm not gonna test my luck on this one. Here's what I'm looking for, right into the 55s. Give it to me. There we go. I'm out on that one, guys. For 944. Could be an insane, beautiful push back up to the upside. Flip this bad boy long. I don't even want this halfway back to VWAP. I'm happy with that. I took a really, really, really aggressive entry on that. got what I wanted out of it, which was an immediate turnaround, maybe a chop down around, take the 40s, and then do what we just did. But it's not something that I want to hold all day at all. I think we could really aggressively pop back up here and immediately crack back down. There's not a lot on the book lower to go grab, but I don't know that I want to trade for this entire thing to be a reversal, right? You know, what's my trade thesis? That we catch a big pop out of this, right? The biggest pop of the day so far, actually. We pulled back after putting these lows in, 7.5. Yeah, I can't complain with that. Can't complain with that. Quick W, 944. Nothing crazy, nothing to write home about. Really aggressive entry. I think there's a really reasonable chance that this is not the low of the day where my entry is, right? And I don't want to make that trade thesis that I catch the complete V-shaped reversal and that we don't continue this to the downside, right? So W. Nice to break a little bit of a losing streak. I did acknowledge on that one. Really aggressive and the kind of trade that it works out nicely sometimes, but man, the kind of trade that I'm trying to back off of a little bit. On an account like this, and this is sometimes the challenge with trading multiple prop accounts, right? And how it can kind of encourage over trading or, you know, a taking of trades that are not super duper beautiful. You know, you end up in a situation like this where it's, you know, a couple hours into the open. I got a podcast to do later, which is going to be fun. I know I'm not going to have a lot of opportunity to trade, and I can either go another no trade day or put on a pretty aggressive trade, right? And sometimes I opt for that really aggressive trade. I'll try to differentiate a little bit more, like I did today. I'll try to differentiate, like, hey, this is not a beauty. This is not something that I'm getting long across all accounts, you know, everything lining up, and something that is, right? Because I think that's worth noting, you know. Anyway, can't complain about the entry and the exit so far. We'll see what happens. That was a solid one. That was a solid one. Let's see. Long looks juicy. Volume is shy on that big candle. Yeah. Trapping sellers, I guess, may come down. 72% chance ES retraces to 25% of IB. Ooh. Interesting. Looks like Dow is still pushing lower. Interesting. Yeah, guys, that's gonna be my trade for this. That's gonna be my trade for the day. I don't see myself putting on another one. Let me see what happened in. Now I got a second to let's take a look at this. Yeah, man, Dow continuing to pay. We'll talk about Dow for a little bit. So nice W on this one, guys. Can't complain. I don't know that we don't come back lower. CVD did not pick up at all, right? So here's how I use CVD because I get questions on it, right? We start to pop after selling off on a declining CVD, negative 3,200, negative 3,300, and we don't really climb at all on a big pop like that. That would indicate that we have potential to continue lower. We don't have buy volume heavily outweighing sell volume, although prices climbing to the upside. There's not a lot of volume behind it in general, just looking at traditional volume. That would indicate that might not be the low. Is that going to happen today? I don't know. We'll find out, right? I was looking at a very low CVD yesterday jumping into shorts, and it didn't help me worth a damn. So we'll have to see how this plays out. But real quick taking a look at Dow, right? Because I want to review this a little bit. This stuff has been playing out really, really nicely for me. Specifically in these accounts and in a live account that I'm trading. And I'm gonna give you. I've talked about it a little bit. You guys should have the basis of how I'm trading it. It's essentially a sweep of overnight session high or low, prior day session high or low, or if that's really close or there's another big key level of volume. Oh, that's not right. a return to that area, right? Kind of a volume profile to volume profile trade. I'm traditionally doing this with limit buy and limit sell orders. But I got to throw a couple volume profiles on here if I'm going to be able to describe it. Actually, that's probably enough, right? Here's the trade from today. 15-minute chart, right? If you take a look at this, actually, just without me even framing out the trade ideas, right? Let me just do a couple more of these. What is this song, bro? We get some different Japanese music in here. Not bad. That was a lot. That one's a lot too. All right, whatever, we'll leave it. Here's the thesis, right? Here's the basis of these, right? I wake my ass up nice and early, 5 a.m., 6 a.m., pre-market, right? Into London session. I take a look at where we're at for the day so far. Where are we trading pre-market coming into the open? Where is a key level of volume, right? If we have one, maybe from the visible range volume profile, very zoomed out on the 15-minute chart. Where is prior day's volume point of control, value area high and low? And what do we have going on for the overnight session or prior day's high and low? Today, here was the trade. I think I ran this 150 and 150 or 200. Yep. Right in there. That's the move. Right? Down here to the downside, I can tell you where the limit order was. Not on a sweep of overnight low, not on a sweep of prior day low, but right in here, where we have a key level that's been tested multiple times, a temporary volume point of control if I zoom out really, really aggressively. And what I'll often do, structure not always the same, right? Depends. That's what that bad boy would look like. You know, essentially one cancels the other, right? If you get filled one side, you're not going to get filled on the other side. You're just going to let that trade play out. But the thesis is that we get a mean reversion type of move out of Dow. From pre-market into the open, before the open, throughout the day. Days where I will get cooked on a bad boy like this. Right? Maybe I'm long in here, right? Because it's always good to frame both sides of this. Maybe, let's see, where's 5 a.m.? Yeah, 5 a.m., right? I look left. I have more volume profiles set up. I say, we got a key level in here. We sold off. We got an overnight high right here from 3 a.m. 5 a.m. hits. I'm waking up. I say, okay, I'm going to structure a similar trade in the way that I just did. What was I showing? 150? I think like a 150 point stop. Immediate cook, right? Immediately blasting lower. I'm filled on a limit long, and price does not bounce. Maybe we bounce a little bit, but price continues lower, right? So nothing foolproof, nothing insane, nothing major, right? Nothing crazy. Works pretty well. It's really how I traded US 30 as a CFD off of the open. You can even go back and watch live sessions from a long time ago. I would just do it on the 1 minute, 5 minute chart. I would wait for, a little bit of a reaction, a move in the opposite direction, right? Maybe I'm entering really aggressively up here on a 5 minute candle or something like that to the downside. I wasn't entering with just straight up limit orders and then set it and forget it. But that's a little bit of the breakdown on Dow. I think go back test some of this stuff. There's discretion, right? It's not as simple for me to say, okay, wake up and set it, a limit sell above prior day high, a limit long below prior day low, right? It's not as simple as overnight high or low or just a volume profile. It's a combination. But literally, the TradingView chart that I trade off of, because I'm trading my live account through TradingView. I was using Motiveway, but it's more complicated than I need it to be. Great program, seems like. I'm just an idiot. But this is literally my chart from TradingView. This is it. I do no markup. I literally do zero markup. I have session volume profile on, VWAP, volume down on the bottom, and the same visible range volume profile. I take a 15 to 20 minute look at the chart, take a look at what's going on, higher time frame trend, key levels, and I typically throw 1 or 2 limit orders on there. I've done it in these accounts. It's worked out very nicely. I had one playing out that I showed you on the stream from 2 Fridays ago that got filled without a stop loss or take profit, which could have been really deadly. So, make sure when you're doing it that you do have a stop loss and take profit in there. And if you're running something set and forget like that, you should probably be a little bit more cautious than me and set some limit orders, right? Set some limit orders where you have entries, set some limit orders near your stop loss and take profit. This way you can go back to the chart and take a look. But it's very stress-free, takes very little amount of time. It really lines up with how I like to trade, which is extremely simple and allowing trades to play out in the long run. So that's the basis of it. That's the basis of it. But try to give you guys all the sauce. Wonder if buyers find yesterday's session low, why I'm going down. Go long, bro. We already went long, in case you missed it. We already went long on ES. Just doing some yapping about YM. My entry was right in here. Stupid wide stop loss. Quick take profit right in here. I don't think my stop loss was that wide, but yeah, 1,500, something like that. Aggressive take profit right in here near the 55s. I think I probably got filled right in there. No complaints. In and out for $1,000. 944 on one account. Building some more buffer. But guys, I'm going to go ahead, before I wrap it up here, I'm going to go ahead and throw... I'm so happy I could listen to music on here without annoying everybody. Hopefully YouTube doesn't completely ban this stream. We'll see. 100% free trading Discord is thrown in the chat. Along with that, guys, if you want to check out the accounts that I'm on, Top 1 Futures accounts, I'll throw that link in the chat as well. They are still discounted. Where's my code? Code RDF gets you the best deal as always. Support me, support yourself, support the channel. Do whatever you want to do. Make sure you do your own research, make your own decisions. I'm biased, right? I stand to make money, so I can't be unbiased. Guys, excuse me, hang on. There we go. I might be back for Power Hour today. I don't know. We're going to see how the rest of the day goes. I got a podcast to do at 2 p.m. Might be back for Power Hour. We'll see how that runs. I'll let you guys know in the free Discord. Along with that, be back streaming live tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. And then after the live session tomorrow, we're hopping into Discord and we're running a badass giveaway for everybody in Discord that's been sharing their journey that I've been yapping about all this week and last week, actually, for just the OGs in Discord. If you haven't done that yet, hop into Discord, read the main pinned message that's in updates and alerts. I'll tag everybody again today. No purchase necessary. You don't have to use a code. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to give me anything. You just have to actually share your journey. You got to journal your trades and hold yourself accountable. If you guys want into that, hop in the free Discord. Be more than happy to have you there. Outside of that, guys, real quick, remember, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't provide financial advice. Nothing I say or do is suggestion or recommendation to do anything at all. Do your own research. Make your own trading decisions. Read CFTC Rule 4.41 on simulated trading, which is what this is, even in funded prop firm accounts, which you saw here today. and the affiliate and partnership disclaimer that I was just talking about that says I stand to make money from links and codes in my content like Top 1 Futures, code RDF, Bookmap, and others. Do your own research. Make your own decisions. Thanks for being here, guys. Appreciate y'all. Talk to you soon.